there, sales champions, and welcome back to Blackwood Academy's sales tip of the day. And we're going to be looking into one of the most underused and underrated, not overrated, underrated tools in your toolbox, which is silence. I'm Bjarne. I've been a cold caller for 17 years. I've sold everything from mobile phones to fish oil to software to consultation, consultancy, anything you can think of. And throughout my years of experience, I have learned many things, and I want to convey them in this series of videos. And silence is one of them that I had to at least learn as a salesperson, and I know that a lot of salespeople out there have a problem with this. So they don't use it enough, and it can be a really powerful move whenever you're doing a cold calling or pitching or anything really. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to use this strategically, how to use pauses and to control the conversation, how to build up trust and get the process. If you feel like you're talking too much on a call, you're struggling with getting prospects to engage, this tip will be an absolute game changer. I've been doing this for 17 years, and I'm going to show you simple ways, how to use it, where to use it, and how to make it work for your advantage. So let's jump into first why silence works. So silence feels uncomfortable, and it does. There's a study, I can't remember where I saw it. I'll try to find it and maybe put it in the comments below. But it shows also that we tend to give other people way more time to take a break and take time to answer their question than we do with ourselves. Like when the silence hits, it's something where you kind of feel uncomfortable, where you need to feel the space. So, but look, what it does in a cold call is it is one of those things where it does create space for your prospect to relate to you, to tell them, to respond, to think, rather than pressuring them to be in a constant conversation where you have to fill the space, fill the void, and it allows them to respond, and often with things that you wouldn't get if you steamroll over them with just a sales pitch. This is one of the things why I've talked about, like when you do start sales, and these videos are very much aimed at beginners. You tend to have a sales script and you tend to get really into steamrolling. You just want to get through the script. And this is why I say, like, you do the script and then you got to do 50 calls and you got to hit every wall. You got to take calls where you sound horrible, where it just all got messed up, and others where it went really well. And that's how you just learn, progress, and get better. What silent also does, it demonstrates confidence. Confident people, salespeople, whoever you want to talk, aren't afraid of a little silence. So it shows that you're comfortable and you're in control. It can break down when you start going, hey, I've done this is the value page, this is the hook, this is that. When you take that beat and you let it sit there for a little bit, it shows that you're confident, you're not needy, you're not in a rush. And it's something that sometimes takes time to develop. It also encourages disclosure. People hate awkward silence. So often they'll share the gap and they will offer information for you that you didn't even think of looking for. So it's one of those things where you really want to analyze it at the right times. And yes, it is uncomfortable sometimes. But the more you do it, the more you get used to it. So silence isn't your enemy, it's a tool. It is something to be used, and it can shift the dynamics of really any conversation into your favor and into something that, yeah, makes the prospect reveal something that maybe they wouldn't have done otherwise. So let's look into, for example, when to use silence. So when do you use it? Now, the strategic pauses aren't random, like they're intentional. This is why going through the script, practicing it with your colleagues, and testing it out and doing those 50 calls, you can find the key moments there, and you can always usually see them in the script anyway. Like, for example, after asking a question, what's the biggest challenge you're facing right now? You want to pause. You want to give them a chance to reply. You want to give them a chance to fill the void and tell you what their biggest challenges are. And, it gives them space to think and respond. And when you give them that space, it also makes them feel more comfortable. They're not rushed. It could be after handling an objection. I understand how you feel. Many of my clients felt the same way. What they found was that, and you tell them the result, and you let it sit there for a little bit. You let it sink in. And it shows that you're confident in your response. You're not trying to fill the air or try to move on too fast. And yeah, you just sit there with it and let it sink in. So it's also during, negotiations or decision points. If you negotiation on price or having them make a decision on when or if to take the meeting. So there you can go with, one of my favorite lines is, if I'm booking a meeting, how about we do Tuesday at 11 or Thursday at 1? Would that work for you? Does that sound fair enough? Or, how does that sound to you? And just pause. It works because, it creates pressure on them a little bit to respond. And often it leads to valuable insight. They're going to give you an answer. You're not going to rush them into it. So remember, silence isn't about leaving the conversation hanging. It's about creating a moment for your prospect to engage, giving them space to take, this isn't like we've talked about before, and I'll mention it again. Doing sales calls is not about steamrolling just into it and just getting them to say the yes at the end. Hopefully, if you just bombard them, it's about creating that conversation to see if even, the product is a fit. Is this something that you could use? What are the values? This is why, often when you have hooked them kind of in, you want to start asking questions to both qualify them, but to find out what they're looking for. You don't want to just tell them what they should be looking for. You want to hear what are they actually looking for. So next we were going to look into getting comfortable with the silence, and this is a big one. Like this is people have a hard time, facing and sitting in silence. It is one of those things where it feels awkward. You're talking to a stranger and you called them out of nowhere, and so the societal pressure would be like, you need to fill it up. You need to make sure that there's a reason why you're called, and this is the reason. And let me tell you all the reasons and why it's so valuable and why you should. You need to just face it and just sit there in silence and awkward sometimes. And it isn't awkward. That's the thing. Like I said before, I can't remember the research. I'll see if I can find it again. But they talk about that. Like I said, they give, I think it was like 30 or 40% more time to other people they're talking to allow them that longer silence. So if you allow someone 10 seconds of silence before you jump in, you only allow yourself, 7 or 8 or whatever it is exactly the seconds in there. But it's the same thing. So try this with, a colleague, another salesperson at the organization while you're doing the sales scripts. You can try counting to three after asking a question or making a point. Mentally, just count to 3 or 5, just to give that little space to let it sink in. It's not necessarily exactly how long, but there is a great book out there called The 5 Second Rule. I recommend it. It's not quite about silence, but yeah, about 3 to 5 seconds, just tell them something, our product is shown to do this, this, and this. And actually, one of the best features is this. And then just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, what I wanted to go in, or, whatever you feel comfortable with, I was, yeah, 3 to 5 seconds would be fine. And remind yourself again and again, like we talked about with the mindset, every no is a step to the next yes. Remind yourself that silence shows confidence. It's not a weakness. And if you feel awkward, imagine how the prospects feel like. They likely will fill the gap. Most people do want to fill the gap in the meeting. So if you can sit back and take a breather, take a step back and hold for those 3 to 5 seconds, they're more likely going to fill the space with something. And they may bring in some insanely valuable information for you that will absolutely help you close the deal. So let them fill the silence sometimes, all right? It doesn't always have to be you. So going into for using silence. So look, there are simple steps. There's a framework. I'll be sharing it in the description as always. Ask open-ended questions. You should be doing that anyway. These are, they're perfect for encouraging conversation. How are you currently solving this problem? How are you doing this? And then Just be quiet. Let them answer. Pause intentionally. Don't rush in to fill the silence. Like we talked about. Let the prospect process what you say. So, even taking a little beat will always, be effective in the end. It will always work. So, and of course, while you're letting them talk, listen actively. Pay attention to their tone and words during the silence. It often reveals what they're thinking. We had a call today with one that I could hear from the beginning and how he spoke because I gave him time and I gave him space that we weren't quite providing what he wanted at this time. He liked us. He likes the company. So it was the three things. Does he like the product? Does he like the company? Does he like you? They need these three things to buy. So always keep that in mind as well when you're doing this. They need to like you, they need to like the company, and then they need to like the product. So when you got those three things in, you're gonna make the sale. So in that, because he wasn't quite closing, I could hear it. I didn't know what it was. So I just kind of, asked him. I said, look, like, what is it that you feel? He said, well, call me start of next year. And we don't have the time right now. And, we'll look into it a little bit better there. Maybe it's a fit. I'm not sure, but let's talk again. And instead of just going, okay, thank you, goodbye, I asked him, I said, look, I will absolutely do that. And I do think we have something that could work for you. But I want to know what was it that you would love to see in this product for you to, when we meet you again in February, to really just go, you know what, let's do it. Like what features or things are there that that are missing in your opinion? And he gave us a list. He gave us like, well, I need this, I need that, and I would like to see this. And these are all things we can fix. And I told him that. I said, look, these are all things we can do. And the one or two thing that we didn't have quite covered there, I said we'll absolutely have covered by February when we talk to you. So I look forward to that conversation and showcasing you, showing you how we've actually listened to you and brought the product to you that you want. And he was very happy. He was like, absolutely. He gave me his private cell phone number. He said, call me on the private, not on the, so you don't have to go through the reception and all that. So it was perfect. Look, in my book, that's a closed sale for next month, in February. So just filling up the pipeline. Yeah, like, there are common mistakes that you make that are absolutely like, everybody makes them. You can't get away from them. And the silence is just so powerful. So but only if you use it correctly. And like I said, the mistakes that people make are, like you said, rushing in to fill the void, resist the jump to urgent, you know resist the urge to jump in. It is one of those things where you're undermining the pause and letting it sink in. It's also using the silence after a wrong question. If you're asking a yes or no question, you're not inviting them to go anything anywhere deeper, so they don't have anywhere to go. So, like when you're looking through your sales script, if it's a yes or no question, then don't pause there for a long time. So, for example, we've used the onboarding software for people that are hiring people. So, if you ask them, "Oh, do you guys use onboarding software already for for new employees to onboard them faster?" They're gonna go, "No," or "Oh, yes, we do. We use this one." Yeah, there's nowhere for them to go. So you gotta kind of just let them. Then you gotta leave with, okay, and what's your experience been with that? Or like, why did you choose not to use the software? Like, how are you guys doing it now? Like, then you can pause and let them speak. So don't do that too much. And of course, use it sparingly and intentionally. Like, don't just sit in silence just to sit in silence. Like, there needs to be a purpose for it. So try to mark in on your sales grid where like a good strategic pause would be. And look, it's a tool. It's not a crutch. So use it wisely and don't stall with them. Take your time, go through your script, and make it feel natural. You don't want to just like that. Just pause out of nowhere for no reason because then it just starts feeling awkward. To close up, let's recap this just real quick. Silence is a powerful tool that, it builds trust, encourage participation and engagement from the prospect. Use it strategically after questions that they can go deeper into, not no or yes questions. No, no, no. You want to have questions that are where they can go into a deeper conversation. And of course, after key decision making points, like with the meeting, do you want, are you free on Tuesday or Thursday? How about we take a 20-minute meeting there and go a little deeper into this? Does that sound fair enough? And then you're quiet and let him speak. Practice getting comfortable with it. So the pauses do project confidence. And again, don't avoid rushing to fill the gap. Let the silence work. Let them think. Let it sink in. Let them talk. So yeah, on that note, if you found this video helpful, if you see the power of silence in a little bit of a different light, or hit on something you resonate with, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on the notifications for more daily sales tips. And if you're ready for, if you want to master cold calling, check out my Udemy course and my website. They're both in the channel description. And, I wish you the best of luck out there. Let's go crush some more calls, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for more tips. Thank you so much.